happened?
You should have been there during that mod race.
What happened, John?
Mason's going to have lots of editing to do in the mod race on Saturday night.
Were you
Oh,
yelling go?
yes.
Go!
Oh, yes. All of a sudden, I hear this belligerent fan next to me yelling at the top of his lungs, and he just
Whoa.
kept progressively getting louder and
Oh, I
louder.
was getting louder, louder, and louder. And it wasn't just me. I think my mother was in the same tone.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 25 of season 3. Another busy week for all of us. We're playing the waiting game. We're in the midst of chaos, but we're all here, myself, Mason, along with Jessup and Mr. John Breckel. Jessup, everyone wants to know what's the status of Baby Watch? We're kind of all waiting at this point.
And we will still be waiting.
This is like a long track prep session that just doesn't seem like it's ever going to end.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, it's
You,
exactly
you
that.
know, Jessup here, I'll send you over some how to induce pregnancy tips and tricks.
Sure, John. Sure.
I'm sure that would help Jessup out very much so. Well, we
I
hope
mean,
that
Becca would be very thankful for that. No, probably not.
Well, we do hope Becca's doing all right, and hopefully we have some fun news to share in the near future. But
Yeah.
until then,
I
we will
hope
keep.
it happens soon too, because then I can actually focus on baby, focus on work, update all my racing stuff. Instead of being on like DEFCON 11 on being on my toes, always waiting for something that hasn't happened.
You're
Yeah.
just in the anticipation mode and the wait mode, which is terrible, which is actually one of the worst processes because you never know when and where it's going to happen.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, we hope things progress sooner rather than later for you, and we hope Becca's doing well as well. And so we got to thank our presenting sponsor, as always, Hitch Harness and Mr. Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. Again, he runs hitchharness.com, where you can find all sorts of products that help alleviate truck necessities as far as your receiver hitch storage. So check out the signature product, the single or double style receiver hitch, and all the other various products, including chassis dollies, pull bar brackets, so much more. You can even get some swag if you already own some of the hitch harness products. He had a great run this weekend over at Buffalo River for the Corn Cob Nationals, and so we'll see if he's out racing the rest of the summer or rest of the fall, I should say. But thank you so much, Tyler, for the support on the podcast. So, of course, the lineup is the same as it has been the last few weeks, with Jessup on the pole, followed by myself and John bringing up the rear of the field. And who knows when we'll have Beck on back on the lineup, but until then, we will keep her spot nice and warm, just like John kept my spot nice and warm throughout the entirety of the race weekend.
This is true. His spot was always available, and he had received multiple pictures of this spot, so he knew where to sit.
I at least got to utilize it all 3 nights this year.
This is true. I mean, I was just proud that you actually showed up for all 3 nights for a change.
Yes, it was a nice change of pace. Well, with that, let's get started with the waving of the green flag and get right into who or what are we repping. Mr. Jessup Pelkey, start us off.
Well, I'm throwing back to the old days of an old Dakota Speedway race. Old day. Kind of a fun shirt. A little different. You don't get to see it much anymore because Well, I don't think a lot of people ordered them. So they were one of the old My Race Pass style shirts. And yeah, kind of fun, kind of different.
Because I think there was a year where like almost all the tracks had a like some sort of merchandise on my race pass, and so I wonder if that was the same year that all happened.
Probably, probably. This one might actually be before that.
Yeah, if that's
All I
it
know
just
is,
put your camera right down a little bit. I think it's the 25th annual in there, right? Yeah, 25 years of racing. It says right below Dakota Speedway.
So that'd
yep.
be
So
2014 then?
yeah, 2014, 2015 areas right in there. So that was probably before my race pass days because didn't my race pass come out like in about 16,
Yeah,
17
you're
area?
right. This would have been a speed. Was it Speed Sport?
It might no, I don't remember what they will name SpeedNet.
SpeedNet Direct?
SpeedNet.
Yeah.
SpeedNet. Nope.
Yeah,
It was SpeedNet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, it was old SpeedNet. Yep,
We're getting old.
I know, right? I used to look at SpeedNet all the time
Yeah.
for like racetracks and like, okay, I need to look at lineups because you never knew who
You,
was there until you did the lineups, right?
and you know what was before SpeedNet?
Bored.
Boards.
Uh-oh.
Panic, chaos, and disorder. We could always
I
go
mean,
and talk severe smack to everybody, and nobody would know except when you made it extremely obvious.
this is before Mason's time. Mason was probably still in diapers back then.
This is true. Sorry, Mason.
Probably. I mean, I am the youngest of the group, but not by much.
This is true. You're the baby.
Anyways, cool shirt, Jessup. I'll
Thank
go
you.
next. My stuff is pretty quick. I think I've repped this Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour before, which we just finished up the season this last weekend in Grand Forks. So that was a fun end to the tour. I did find a koozie. I believe this is Jory Berg's when he raced
Hmm.
the B4 and now he's the
Hmm.
BO. Now, saw him this weekend. He wasn't behind the wheel, but he was out in the pits having a lot of fun. So it was cool to see Jory back in the pits.
Now, Mason, history lesson for you.
Mhm.
Who drove the B4 before Jory? Because Jory drove it for about a year before he went B0. Because he drove it for some other driver.
Well, was it within the family?
Oh yes, it was in the family.
Okay, so his dad's Tim Berg, so I'm guessing it was Tim Berg.
It was Tim Berg. Tim drove B4 for years.
Hmm,
Before
nice.
then Jory and Tim drove for a couple seasons. I don't remember how many seasons it was. With Tim being in the B4 and Jory being in the B0, and then Tim retired from racing and Jory kind of took over the B0 and has had the box car design ever since.
I have a hero card with both of them on the same one somewhere in this box. I might have to see if I can dig it out here a little bit later. But and now Brody Eckert, who kind of comes from that same kind of like crew, he races the B2. So kind of a
That's true.
nice little connection there. And so yeah, I
Yep.
don't know
Well,
if he's
and and Bob, we can't forget about Bobby Eckert, who used to drive the B1
you want
super stock for many, many years, and then went into the Wasota Midwest Modified division back in the mid 2000s, and then went into the IMCA and Wasota Modified division for a couple seasons, and then went back into the Wasota Midwest Modified division before he ended his career in that division.
And then you can't forget about Brent Larson in the B1 too.
This is true.
B1 bomber. Hmm.
fun facts with Jessup.
Yes.
Why are you so angry?
I'm
Jessup's just trying to stay relevant.
I am because I don't know any of these old people from out west.
Well, hey, you'll know the person on the shirt that I'm repping though. This is
Oh,
a Fresh Tie Aga number 26 shirt.
Jessup, he drives a street stock, just to give you a heads up. He's from
what?
Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
Where's
Yes.
that?
It is just north of Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Where's Eau Claire?
You have to
In
go
Wisconsin.
you have to go
Eau
east of the
Claire's
cities by about
directly in the
50.
middle of Wisconsin, Mason, or pretty close to the middle.
I would say pretty close. I wouldn't say directly. Because then because okay, so people say like Shawano is eastern Wisconsin. I'm like, it's it's kind of
Look
like
at your
in the
hand.
center.
That's how you describe Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, good point.
This is true, Mason.
There we go.
Every now and then, that guy from the general area knows what he's talking about.
For the general area. That's exactly. So yes, I'm repping Ty Agan in the 26 Wissota Street Stock. I'll be touching on him in a little bit, but that is who or what I am repping.
So Mason, it is a big weekend of racing for Wissota because we have the Speedway Motors Wissota 100 upcoming this weekend, starting at the I-94 Speedway in Fergus Falls. They're going to have practice tomorrow night, and then racing for qualifying nights are going to be on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and championship night is going to be Saturday. So that's upcoming here this week over in Fergus Falls. We started with the Mod 4s, the Hornets, and the Pure Stocks over in Bemidji just this past Sunday. So we're taping this on a Monday night. So just yesterday, as they had their invitational here for the Wissota 100. Now, the shirt I'm repping is related to the Wissota 100. It is the
Wow.
2023 Wissota 100 purple design shirt. On the back, it's got the racing divisions. So it is a very nice shirt. I actually have really become a fan of the deep dark purple shirts for racing. I think they look very nice. And that is what I'm repping. And okay, guys, what year is it going to be for the Wissota 100 this year? Do you guys even know what the annual is?
I think it's 36.
Wrong. This is a
47.
caution. This is a caution flag on Mason.
You're doing trivia. You can throw cautions
Yeah,
on
you
wrong
can't throw
trivia
a question on
questions.
that. I'm sorry, John.
That was wrong.
I'm not going to say an answer, so I'm not going to be wrong.
It's the 37th then.
It's the 38th. This
Oh
was the
gosh, it says it right
37th
on the
annual right
shirt.
here on the shirt. Hence why Mason was wrong, because I actually even showed him the answer beforehand.
Hey, I wasn't trying to
So
cheat like some other people do when they do the hot sauce hot memory rewind, which we will get to in just a minute.
this is true. Jessup, you should limit your cheating skills these days. But yes, but I am wearing the Wissota 100 shirt here from last year, 2023, and can't wait to get there this year in 2024. I will be not there for a couple of nights, but I will be there for the championship night as well as probably the last qualifying night on that Friday before.
Now, John, here's a trivia question. Maybe you'll know, maybe you won't. Who is the reigning and defending what was it? 5K Wissota 100 race?
I don't know that answer. All I know that, if you want to talk about a number of miles that are getting put on within the pit area, Mason probably wins and beats everybody on that.
I should do
It's
a
not fair.
I should do a post this week to say prediction of how many steps I will get at the Wissota 100 this week because it's going to be a lot.
I bet
It
you
will be.
do. I bet he gets 8. At least
Gee,
8.
this is true. This is, I would say, at least 8 steps.
He will
He'll have
get
to at least
all of
walk a
8
couple times.
steps.
Yep.
Well, so that'll do it for the Who or What Are We Repping segment. We will now move on to the hot sauce hot memory rewind that we just alluded to, and give a shout out to our good buddy Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro and send out a big congratulations as they just welcomed a little one into the world this last week. So big congrats to Isaac and Emily on the little one. Totally forgot the name.
It's Harrison James Sandro.
Is that a caution that he doesn't know our sponsor's name? It's
I,
Isaac.
oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I do agree with Jessup on this one, Mason.
Anyways, congratulations to the Sandro family on the little addition to their family. And I'm sure he's going to be pretty busy now for the rest of the fall, not only with the baby, but also work and other things. So we may not see him at the racetrack a ton, but if you do see him, be sure to tell him congratulations for one and say hi. Great guy to talk to, really passionate about racing, raced the IMC modified division, the 12S. We'll see what he's got cooked up for next season in 2025. So thank you, Isaac, for your support on the podcast. All right, Jessup, you get to kick it off with the hot sauce hot memory rewind.
Well, we're gonna throw a little curveball at you guys this week. Usually, John already knows what it is.
Mhm.
So usually we either do a throwback photo of either super stocks or late models, or I pull out some hero cards. or something else. This time, we're going to go after the old pocket schedules.
Ooh.
And I'm going to just throw this first one. Okay.
All
Is
right.
I got most of my stuff from Jay Symes, so I got to give him a
Mhm.
lot of credit along with Kurt Klein. Um, this is 1999 Dakota Speedway. Okay.
Mhm.
Your question from this, checking your knowledge, what night did they race on?
From 1999.
On 1999. John should know this one.
They raced on Sundays.
Mason, do you want to take a guess?
I think they also race on Sundays.
You are incorrect. They race Saturdays. It is a new.
Saturdays. Interesting. I actually didn't even remember that
Yep.
they were on a Saturday night. It used to be
And I
Fridays and
just
Sundays.
noticed this now. It said racing on a new night in 99.
Interesting.
Saturday. It says Saturday on all the back. So
Hmm.
now
It,
let's see here. SP. Oh, okay. This will be a fun one. What classes did they race at the Gulf Cup that year?
99. They raced hobby stocks.
I'm
Dakota Speedway
assuming you
hobby
would be
stocks.
right here.
Yep.
I
So,
don't know.
so Dakota Speedway hobby stocks, they raced a mini, was it a mini bomber division?
I would think the bomber division would be right. I don't know what a BB stands for.
Ye-
because like mine had had Nodak Speedway had bombers for like their bigger events. So I assume that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what it is. I think that's what that directly is. They had
John, you'd be incorrect on the hobby stock though. It's
they
a
didn't even have hobby
class
stocks.
they didn't have it. They had something else,
Oh.
something far more entertaining.
Well, they had late models in 99.
Yep,
They had mods.
yep,
Did they have Thunder
They had
Force
street
then?
they had street stocks.
yes, they did. And then you got one.
They had super stocks.
Yep, you're down to two classes remaining.
They had see, did they have legends? Were legends around
Nope.
then? Yeah, I
What's
didn't think
another
legends were around.
division
Okay.
that races at or has raced the Gov Cup? They were
Was it
not
sprint
with us.
cars?
Yes. And the last one, not the
Did they have
hobby
with soda?
stocks.
Was it with soda sprint cars back then?
It just says sprint cars, SP.
Okay. And then they had what?
What was the class prior to hobby stocks? They had two drivers.
Roadhogs.
Yep. So they had sprint cars, late models, mods, super stocks, street stocks, road hogs, and whatever BB is. I don't know. This is way before my
I
time.
don't know that one
But
either.
anyways, that would be Dakota Speedways. The next one we'll go to let's go to the good old let's go to El Speedway in 99.
Southwest, eh?
We're going to Southwest Speedway.
Okay. The question from this one is name the divisions that were raced at Southwest Speedway. There were three.
Mods were one.
Yep. This class has
Mm,
transitioned.
let me see
I'm gonna
here. What would
say hobby stocks, regular hobby stocks.
I'll give you hobby stocks with bombers. And one more. This class just changed.
I want to say street stocks.
Dakota Streets. Okay, that's the
Dakota
first
Street? Okay,
question from
Dakota
that.
Street stocks. I remember that class. That class was way different than the actual streets.
Okay. Here's your question, John and Mason. What was the price of admission for a regular adult?
7.
I think a regular adult was $8.
$6.
Dang.
and
A
Reynolds
$5
race at 6
nights.
p.m. on Sunday. And their season championship, was August 21st. Hmm.
Interesting.
Yep. So moving on to our second to last one, we'll go to Mason's stomping ground.
Ah, the homeland.
Going
Yes,
to
the
Nodak
homeland at the old Nodak Speedway. All
in
right, Mason.
1999.
September 4th, 5th, and 6th. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. What was the name of the event?
Motor Mania.
Very good. Yes, it was.
Yep.
Motor Mania. Trick question. Most people would say Motor Magic.
Mm.
Now, Mason, June 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, a 4-day show sponsored by Pronto Auto Parts. What was the name of this show? This is one of the more legendary shows of the area.
I believe it's the Rough Rider Classic.
Yep, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. That was a good one.
I
Nicely
think
done.
I think the Motor Magic name came in 2003. 2003 or
Mm-hmm.
2004.
It's around there. Now, John, we're going to go to the last one right here.
Oh, it's Jamestown.
Jamestown Speedway. John named the 4 divisions of racing that they had in 1999.
They had the Bomber Division.
Yep,
They had Wasota Street Stocks,
yep,
Wasota Modifieds,
that is correct.
and Roadhogs.
Very good, John. All right, let's go here. We're going to, on the bumper to bumper modified classic, how much was it to win?
$1,000.
Mason,
1,500.
you guys are very low. It was 5,000 to win.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a
That
lot of money back then.
is a
Even
lot of
nowadays, it's a
money.
lot of money.
So, kind of fun, a little different throwback there. I hope
That's pretty
everyone
cool.
enjoys it.
You want me to go next, John?
Sure, go ahead, Mason. I've got mine ready too when you guys are,
All right.
when Mason's done.
We're going to try to cover up the name.
That is the 13 machine would be Ty Hatton.
John is correct.
I'm going to go with what John said.
That is Ty Hanton. I don't know what year. Let's see if I can do this one.
I can't even see the card.
That's Brendan Borg.
John is also correct on this one.
I'm going to go with Brennan Borg.
Very good, Jessup. Very good.
You're doing good, Jessup.
2
And
for
then-
2, John.
The last one.
Nate Heinrich.
Jessup.
Nate Heinrich.
Very good. It is Nate Heinrich.
Look at me go,
Car
John.
race multiple
Just out
times.
here scrapping.
All right, those are my
Okay.
3.
So I've got 3. So I've got them all on my phone tonight. So, okay, guys, who is the first one?
Who's on 1?
Oh, I've seen that car before, but I have no idea who the
What
heck
is
that
it?
You're
is.
in Lisbon.
Is that a gentleman's club?
Potentially.
What smut are you providing to
Um,
us?
From Lisbon.
Lisbon, number 1. That's not going to help me.
No, I have no idea.
It's Jamie Hanna.
I would not have guessed that one.
I'm
So
gonna.
Jamie Hanna. And this car would have been back in around the 2001 to 2 range.
Okay.
Okay, next car. This is an old West Fargo street stock.
This is gonna be better for me.
Oh, I have a guess.
Go ahead, Mason.
James Tandeschi.
No.
Oh, really? It's like the
Yep.
same font.
I'm gonna have to pass, John. I don't want to insult our friends out.
This this is Steve Pavlicek.
Oh,
Oh, okay. All right. I forgot that Steve. Yeah, Steve hasn't raced in a
And
long,
I'm
long
gonna
time.
stick with my street stock theme. Whose car is this?
Very bright
well, if I
red.
could see it without the glare, it looks like a 97.
Oh, I think I might know. Oh, wait. This is, I think
It's a trap.
it is a trap.
Who is it?
Most people would say Tracy Domagala, but it's not gonna be Tracy.
Okay, Mason, come on.
I think it says actually Johnny Carter.
It is. It's one of Johnny's first ever street stocks that he purchased and ran for a couple of races that year.
Yeah, I
I
was like,
should have
wait a
known that,
sec.
Mason.
I was like, it's Hunter. I'm like, no, it's not. Wait, I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
seeing this.
Hunter,
It is not.
not the Domagala clan.
No, I think Hunter did have like an orange. Did he have an orange street stock at one point? I can't remember.
Um,
I don't recall.
no, I don't recall him being ever an orange.
Hmm. Okay. Well, anyways, that was fun. Good job, guys, on the hot
Yeah,
stuff, hot memory rewind. So we'll try to breeze through our track pack report as it was pretty simple for us. I know John and I were at the John Sites Memorial all 3 nights. Jessup was at home, kind of tuning into the Super Nationals. Jessup, did you want to kind of do a little kind of
nope.
roundup of the Super Nationals?
It was fun to watch. Then my wife kicked me off my account a few times, and that was that.
You weren't watching it with her?
No, because we know this to be a truthful statement because I booted Becca off to watch Johnny Carter go from like eighth to first. And then after that, I let her
This is
watch the
true.
rest.
But even on like the Friday and Saturday night portions, you weren't watching together?
Not really. Saturday, I got picked up to play softball in the tribe softball tournament that had over 138 teams in it. And our final game didn't get started Saturday night until about 9:45, 10 o'clock. So by the time I got home, I laid on the couch and passed out immediately.
Ah, hence why we were kind of getting updates from Becca versus you.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
busy or preoccupied, and no, I did not get to watch much. Um, it was good from what I heard. A lot of good results for um, everyone, really, I guess. But um, Nathan Speeden did good. Um, Colin did good. He made the big dance. Nathan made the big dance. Andrew Joachim had a heck of a run going in on Saturday. Won his last chance heat to get to a last chance feature and drew terribly, which put him way behind the eight ball. And stuff like that happens, I guess, when you got over how many was it? Like 200 some stock
I
cars,
think it
something
was
like
over
238.
240.
It
Yeah.
was it was 266 for the stock car division.
So yeah, sometimes the luck of the draw is just not in your hands some days. And then Johnny Carter had a magnificent run. And yeah, you know what? First thing I'm going to say is hats off to all of our North Dakota representatives. You guys did really good. Um, we had quite a few hobby stocks go down. And I think Nathan was the only sport mod to go down this year. I just posted a bunch of them.
Yeah, I
I think
don't
he
recall anyone because usually like Robbie Roselli goes down every year, but I didn't see him on the entry list at
Yeah,
all.
I think it was just
Mm-mm.
Nathan, but Nathan had a great showing right away, got himself secured, and did what he had to do. And then Johnny did what he had to do, and he got in right away. Can't be mad. Had a
I
great
also
time down there great representation for our area and our local tracks. So same for Colin. Another great showing for him. Colin's got that track pretty figured. I wouldn't say 100% figured out, but he's got a good feel for that track, it seems like, and he's been very successful the last couple of years down there.
And I think he moved up to 12th at one point before he got caught up in a wreck, which that unfortunately ended his
Yep.
race.
Yeah, I mean, that's racing. You gotta be good, and gotta hit the right setup, and gotta hit the right amount of luck. And if you
Mhm.
can't get all three, it's gonna be pretty tough to get to the big dance at Super Nationals.
Yeah, and I think the other driver racing on Saturday was Adam Goff. He was in one of the last chance races. He finished fifth, so unfortunately he didn't transfer to the last chance
Well,
feature.
Drew Christensen and Chris Tusher were also there, and
Oh, yep.
uh, I think Chris had a really good week down there as
He did.
well. And
Yep,
so, I
he did.
mean, he definitely represented himself well. I'm not saying Drew didn't either, but um, no, Chris had a very nice weekend going into the final night. So, all in all, I mean, always good to have local representation going down there. And it seems like the West usually sends a good number of drivers down there. Hopefully, future years, we get some more Eastern guys and maybe some Dakota Speedway guys to go back down. But no, all in all, good showing for everybody. We had a handful of sport compacts down there as well. So yeah,
Definitely. So yeah, that was fun to kind of keep in tune with throughout the week. And as some would say, there were a lot of cars in Boone.
There were
just
there
a
were a
few
lot of cars.
cars there, Mason. I don't know if there was a lot, but there were a few.
Well,
Yep.
it was kind of fun to follow on my race pass, like starting at like 2 in the afternoon and kind of like seeing how it progressed throughout the night. And then I'm a late night owl, so I was like, I usually go to bed around 1 to 1:30, and then some nights like they're still running. Well, I'm
Hmm.
going to bed.
I am
Same.
not a late owl.
I am definitely a night owl for sure, like Mason. And for me on the weekends, it's no problem staying up until about 4:30 in the morning, somewhere in that range. Um, but yeah, I was following it very closely this week too.
Yeah, so congratulations to all those that went down to Boone. Hope you all had a fun and enjoyable week. Saw people had quite a good time down there, and the weather cooperated too. That was also really
Weather
nice.
looked beautiful the whole week.
That's a rarity, it seems like, for Super Nationals week.
It's definitely a rarity. I think the last 2 years they've had really nice weather, so good for them.
Yep, and so while that was taking place, John and I were up in Grand Forks for the John Sides Memorial Weekend, which started on Thursday with the prelude to the Johnny. 186 cars checked into the gates on that. And John, want to do a takeaway or two before we get into the results?
Sure. So, like Jessup likes to say, there were a lot of cars and a lot of late models. We had 60 late models on Thursday night, and there's some big names there too this weekend that had never been to the sites before. So that was pretty cool to see. But no, Mason, besides that, the racing was pretty fierce and pretty competitive throughout the whole entire Thursday night. And it was just a fun night of racing over in Grand Forks at the River City Speedway because you had the Dirt Race Central, yes, race fans, Dirt Race Central with Soda Street Stock Tour, as well as the Howie Schill Memorial Race, the rescheduled one that was supposed to take place back in mid-August down at the Red River Valley Speedway in Fargo that got moved in after it got rained out to the River City Speedway as part of the prelude to the Johnny. So Mason, overall, it was just a fun night.
Yeah. I think they mentioned in the pit meeting on Thursday that 60 late models was a record on Thursday, which they actually broke that record then later in the weekend. So
Mhm.
that was really cool to see. And like you said, a lot of cars. Weather was beautiful. Like you couldn't have asked for better weather up in Grand Forks this weekend. And so um, I'll kind of start off with results here real quick. As John mentioned, the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour had their championship weekend as part of it as well. And they were the first out on the track. And the front row consisted of Cole Gresseth and Braden Brower. And Cole Gresseth had just switched over from his Chevelle body, and he has his old body style that he had on in previous years. Went to the front, and Braden Brower gave him a good fight, but Cole Gresseth looked very strong out in front. And so he got to claim his first Street Stock Tour win in Grand Forks, and it's kind of cool because he kind of got kind of snake bit the last year by Hunter Carter
Mhm.
both nights, and so to start off the weekend with the win in the Street Stocks is pretty cool for him.
Redemption for Cole. So then you go to the Midwest Modifieds, and it was a battle. They had 45 of them on night one, and it was a battle between Matt Scow up front, along with Blake Adams. Blake, one of our youngsters, come up and coming drivers, the son of Buzzy Adams. And Blake was leading the majority of that race, and Matt passed him on the high side with about four to go out of turn four, and then lost his left rear tire going into turns one and two.
Yep, you
And
could
that
say
ended his night.
he drove the wheels off of it.
Literally, he took the lead at the flag stand and spun out going into turns one and two as the tire just went right off the car. So tough break for Matt, but that opened the door for Blake to pick up his first win at River Cities.
Yep, so big congrats out to Blake Adams in the 40 machine. Then the modifieds, they actually got to run 3 full shows, and so they got a full show on Thursday night. And definitely a lot of heavy hitters in this one too, but a guy that hasn't had the modified out much this year, Tyler Peterson, the one TPO, started out front, and usually that's kind of like good luck to everyone in the rest of the field because he's a wizard at going through traffic. I think like Ward Emery and Dale Ames were kind of keeping up with him, but there's no one really better at going through lab traffic than Tyler Peterson. So he cruised on to the feature win in the modifieds for his first win on the weekend. And also on hand were super stocks along with the late models, but the super stocks only ran heats on Thursday. So that meant late models with their NRA season finale and the prelude to the Johnny got to be the curtain call for the night. And John, how did that go?
And it was a battle up front between Mike Gresseth and Dustin Strand. So Dustin, by taking the green flag, pretty much kind of locked up that points championship. Him and Cole Shill were kind of going at it going into the final weekend. And Mike Gresseth had a very strong weekend overall, looked really good in his heat, looked really good in his qualifiers, and looked really good in the features as well. But he led majority of that race until about 3 laps to go, and Mike was starting to get it looked like just a little bit tight, and Dustin was starting to roll the bottom better than Mike, and Dustin got beside him, got around him coming out of turn four with two to go, and it was Dustin Strand who picked up the win in a very popular win up in Grand Forks on Thursday night.
Yep, and he's been riding a big wave of momentum, 7 to 8 at feature wins at least in the last couple of months up there, especially. And so nice capper to his season for the NLRA championship as well with Gresseth in second. And then a Canadian
Yes.
in third that we haven't seen in the late model as of late.
Yes, Aaron Turnbull was in third, and Aaron was running one of Shane Edgington's cars this past weekend up at Grand Forks and a two-time Sites Memorial champion. And Aaron finished in the top three.
Yep. And so that was your Thursday night action at River Cities. And then Friday, kind of the actual John Sites Memorials. So the Street Stocks, Midwest Mods, and Late Models basically have one show over the span of Friday and Saturday, while the Super Stocks would run their feature race and the Modifieds had their full show with the Al Delane Memorial. And so Super Stocks got to race their feature, which they had, I think, 13 signing on
13.
Thursday.
Yep.
And then I think I had a couple kind of tagged the back for that Friday night feature. And it was Jordan Hankemeyer who started out front and pretty much held control the entirety of that way. It was fun to watch like Dave Moss try to claw his way through the back. Probably needed another caution or two to try to get up to battle Jordan. So
yeah, he got involved in a wreck on Thursday night. Dave Moss did. Terrence Spacek was there out of Wisconsin. He also got involved in that same wreck. So those two drivers started in the tail end of the field and had to work their way to the front, which was kind of very entertaining to watch because it was kind of the Hankemeyer show up front, and then it was the Nelson, Moss, and Spacek battle for second through fourth.
Yep. And so then that basically left the modified for their A main and the pole dash for the late models. And going over to the modifieds, they had 39 cars in attendance, another great solid field of modifieds, and a couple familiar faces we see up at the front, Tyler Peterson and Dustin Strand, duking it out as always. And another instance where Tyler Peterson actually, there was a lot of cautions, if I remember correctly, in that race.
There were a lot of cautions there were a lot of cautions to start, and then after that they went clean and green.
Okay.
And it was heavy lap traffic.
Yeah, that's
That was
right.
a night that lap traffic was really heavy because Tyler Peterson held control. Hole was actually in second Mason for a while, and remember he got together with the lap car.
Cole Chernosky, yes, that's right. Very
Yes.
surprise visitor for this weekend.
Yes, it was nice to see Cole up there as well as Mike Stearns. So the top two in your national points right now for your Minnesota Modifieds, and they're very close in that national point fight. And they were both in Grand Forks all weekend. So tough break for Cole though. He got together with a lap car in turns 1 and 2, um, coming basically to the checkered because he took the white flag and ended up in one of the tires over there in 1 and 2, and that kind of ruined his good run in the front, and that gave the door open to Dustin Strand to finish in that second spot, right up there in the 71 machine. And then it was kind of interesting to watch too, Mason, because there were a lot of drivers up there in the mods that just kind of came for that Friday portion. Did you notice that kind of too?
Yeah.
Several drivers that were strong runners that just came for Friday and didn't really run any of the other weekend. For instance, like Jetvin came up on Friday night, one of his few races he's ran this year, had a top five, so that was kind of nice to see from Blake's perspective. And then Dustin Strand never runs the mod on Saturday night for championship night of the sites just because of the late model. He wants to focus on the late model. So he was one of those drivers that ran the mod on Friday, did not run it on Saturday. But then of course you got Buzzy Adams, who was there all weekend in the 40 machine, always a tough runner. Buzzy started 18th and finished fifth in that feature event. Dale Ames was third in that feature event. Zach Johnson, always a tough runner, was right up there in the top six as well. So kind of an interesting little field of modifieds that we had up in Grand Forks this weekend.
Yep. And so Tyler Peterson went 2 for 2 to start the weekend in the Minnesota Modifieds from his ninth starting position. And then just to touch on the late models briefly, it was Chad Becker winning the pole dash. Kind of a surprise because Chad, like in years past, has kind of struggled up at River Cities, but I think over the last year or two, he's kind of gotten a hang of it. And so it was nice to see him start on the pole and pretty much held control for that whole late model pole dash. And he got to sit on the front row along with Mike Gressett, I believe, in the 17.
That's correct.
So then that makes it go to championship Saturday, which, by the way, late models had 62 officially for the John Sykes Memorial, so a new record for that division.
And also, they had 196 cars on Friday night, so a really strong field of cars. They were actually pitting cars in the overflow area, which is now behind the trailer court that's over there behind the racetrack. So they were parking them over there. Plus, they actually had some haulers over by the go-kart track as well, over there on that side. So that was kind of cool to see too, with all the haulers and how they got them all fitted into the pit area. But no, 196 cars on Friday, and then Mason. We had a couple mods that dropped out. We had a couple super stocks that came in. So I believe their total official car count for Saturday was like 197 total wise. So that was pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah, and so we'll get right into the feature action with the Street Stocks kicking it off for their championship night and their feature event. And it was Braden Brower who started on the pole once again with Cole Gressa to his outside flip-flop because of passing points. And immediately Cole Gressa dove to the bottom and took the lead and never looked back. Like he was
Never
on
really challenged either.
no, like he was on kill mode that entire weekend. So he went 2 for 2 on the weekend, winning both his heats and features and getting the ultimate redemption from last season in the Minnesota Street Stock. So big congrats out to Cole Gressett in the 19 machine. And there was a lot of movers and shakers in that race too. A lot of drivers that were kind of coming up from the back, including like Andrew Hansen, Kyle Dykoff before he had some mechanical trouble that ended his race, and also Ty Agan, who actually ended up getting the Tour Championship for the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tours. So a fun race to kick things off for Saturday night.
And then in
Mod.
the Midwest
Okay.
mods,
Yep.
it was Austin Hunter who started up front with Matt Scow right up there as well. And it was Matt Scow who worked kind of diligently to get the lead because Austin was running the bottom really well. And Scow was kind of right behind him. And then the top side started coming in just a little bit within that race as they kept getting a little bit farther into the event. And Austin actually went to the high side in 3 and 4 on a restart, and Matt dove right into the middle of him, passed him, and never looked back.
Yeah, and Matt's had that car set up pretty dang nicely wherever he's gone, and so
Mhm.
he's definitely been like kind of like the key guy to watch in some of these bigger races too. And of course, we got a couple more coming up, so I'm sure he'll be up towards the front there too. And so Matt Scow getting another John Sykes Memorial feature in Minnesota Midwest Modifieds. Then in your super stocks, John, what a race!
Yeah, that was a really good race. That was probably one of the best ones of the night. The mod race was really good too, but the super stock race was a lot of fun to watch because your top three were really going at it between Trevor Nelson, and Dave Moss and Taryn Spacek. And Taryn was one that was pretty far back and kind of ran down the lead duo and threw his nose right in there in that final couple of laps. And so that was kind of a fun battle to watch. But it was definitely the Moss and Nelson show up front for a while before Trevor kind of took control, but never ran away by any means from Dave Moss or Terrence Spacek. And they were actually three wide on the final lap going in through turns one and two. And Trevor held on for that win.
Yeah, that was a fun race to watch. And you also had like the national championship leader, Dexton Cook, kind of working in fourth, just needed a caution and kind of get caught back up in
Mhm.
his pole starting position. But yeah, a really good race in the Minnesota Super Stocks. And congrats to Trevor Nelson in the 71. In the modifieds, boy, this is the one that had a lot of cautions.
Yes, they had a ton of cautions in this race. I feel like they could run a couple laps and then it would be caution. And then they were a couple more laps and then it would be out. And it was one of those to where you really never had a true definite leader besides maybe Mike Stearns, because Stearns led about the first 10 laps before we had a caution. And then after that happened, then we had caution after caution after caution, and the lead kept changing hands. And it was a battle up front between Tyler Peterson, who did not look as strong on Saturday night that he had looked on Thursday and Friday. His car just didn't look quite like it had the right setup. On Saturday night, you had Joseph Thomas up there, you had Ward Imring up there, you had Mike Stearns up there, you also had Buzzy Adams up there, Zach Johnson was up there in the mix. So there was a lot of moving and shaking in that top five underneath each restart, pretty much. And in the end, it was a battle between Joseph Thomas and Tyler Peterson.
Yeah, and it seemed like the lead was swapped, like you said, on every restart, and ended up with the final restart that Joseph Thomas finally got around. Tyler Peterson was able to kind of make his car wide, so that way Tyler couldn't get a run, and so he went on to get the feature win for the Minnesota Modifieds, and nice little redemption after some mechanical troubles the previous night. Also, shout out to Katie Schmeling, the 13 machine. He was running down Tyler Peterson at the beginning part of that race as well, and Mike Stearns, I should say, and so definitely a lot of heavy hitters up in the front of that field. And then last but not least, we have the Minnesota late models for their 92 lap, 9,200 to win race. And again, Chad Becker and Mike Gresseth on the pole. And that's always a fun race to watch because, plays out in two parts. The first 30 laps, you just don't want to get lapped. And then you see how the last 60 unfold.
And it's fun to watch Mason because Becker looked pretty good right away off of the green flag. But the guy I was truly watching was kind of twofold. I was watching the battle between Strand was right there with Gresseth as well as with Aaron Turnbull, because Turnbull looked really strong right away to start that feature event and stayed up front pretty much kind of throughout the whole entirety of it. But then you had to watch for Cole Saring because Cole was kind of quietly working his way to the front, and he took that lead pretty much right off of the restart once they had the fuel stop and never looked back.
Yep. So Cole Searing, there were a few late cautions where he'd have to hold off challenges from Strand, Turnbull. Mike Gresseth actually cut a tire about halfway through the race and had to go to the back and actually made a great run towards the front. It actually ended up fourth, but like you said, Cole Searing gets his first John Seitz Memorial win, and that's the first South Dakota driver to win that race. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I know there's a group of fans that come up from South Dakota every year for that race, and so they were loud and proud when Cole got the checkered flag. And so big congrats to Cole Searing. Dustin Strand has to wait another year to try to mark it off his bucket list in second, and Aaron Turnbull hung on for third. And so that was your racing action at the John Seitz Memorial this weekend. And Shane Edgington ran a tribute scheme for John Seitz with the 92 on the side of his car. Started 20th, finished 6th. So definitely a strong performance in that machine as well.
Yeah, kind of a throwback to John's 2001 and 2002 paint scheme. So that was kind of cool to see.
Well, before I touch on the last race, I want to throw it over to Dakota Dirt and Mr. Jessup Pelkey and ask him, what do we have upcoming racing-wise this week?
And remember, race fans, if you want to check out everything with North Dakota Racing news results and much more, you have to check out your one-stop shop for everything North Dakota Racing news results and much more. Again, that is Dakota Dirt. They are social on social media platforms as well as dakotadirt.org.
Thanks, John. The season's winding down pretty quick here, Mason. There's not a whole lot left for North Dakota and our friends to the north. It's River Cities this Friday, then Saturday it's Devil's Lake Speedway. I believe they have the Pure Stock Nationals. 1,000 to win. Qualifying night number 1 is Saturday. They'll have the four-cylinder race along with the non-wing sprints and the Pure Stocks and Circle Track mini trucks and Hornets. Good times. Anyways, moving on from there, you go over to the Williston Basin Speedway on Saturday. It's night number 1 of the fall roundup. They got all their regular classes. And then you can repeat those two tracks on Sunday night with Devil's Lake kicking off at 6 and Williston kicking off at 7. Following that, River Cities again is going to be racing the 20th. Then it is the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede on the 20th and 21st. A lot of big races going on there. A lot of good things happening in general over there during that weekend. So I would mosey over and see what all you can find to do there because there is a ton of stuff to do and see. Then close out the 2024 racing season. It is the Dakota Speedway with their Oktoberfest 2-day show, the 27th and 28th. And then after that, folks, it is done. There is nothing left unless people try to add extra races, which I don't think is going to happen. Oh, and then the Richard Jordan is taking place on Saturday as well. Yeah,
Friday.
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 Friday
Forgive
the
me.
13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Interesting times. Let's race on a
An
Friday when we can
interesting
race
time
on a. Oh, that's
to be at a racetrack on the 13th.
Oh, yeah, good point.
good luck, everyone. Survive. Just survive. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, especially with so that's the way North Dakota's looking over the next couple of weeks. We have two big races across the region, including the legendary 100 over at Cedar Lake Speedway, starting on Thursday the 12th and going through the 14th. And they have a lot of classes. I haven't looked at all the classes, but they usually
They
have
have everything.
They usually have like 9 or 10.
Let's see. Late models. I don't think they can race super stocks
They
this
cannot
year.
race super stocks.
Nope.
So that they're out. They're going to have Gen X late models, I bet.
I believe they will have their USR late models. Yep. I got the list right here.
Let me see. Let's go with UMSS sprint cars.
Yep.
Let's see.
So you got the limited lates.
Mods and Midwest mods.
Yep.
There's 4. Do they have street stocks this year?
They do.
There's 5. Are they going to run sport compacts or Hornets or whatever they're going to call them?
Yep.
And let's see what else they got. Pure stocks. What am I missing? How many more do I need, Mason?
Need 3. So there's the UMSS. Basically, they have 2.
Winged
There's
and traditionals.
Yep. So we're at 8. They have late models as well.
Yeah.
So I think we got them all covered now.
Mhm.
There's 9.
Good times.
So they got an assortment. And I think they
Yep.
do mainly qualifying and then features is their format, correct?
I think so.
Changed a lot. I think it's qualifying features for 3 of the nights, and then they have all the B mains on Saturday with the qualifying features as well. Or not qualifying, but the features.
Gotcha. So that's over at Cedar Lake Speedway. And then we have the Wissota 100 taking place over at I-94 starting on Tuesday the 10th with practice night and then running preliminary nights Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the 11th through the 13th, and then championship Saturday on the 14th. So, which technically 100 weeks, so to speak, kicked off at Bemidji Speedway this past Sunday with the Wissota Mod 4s, Wissota Pure Stocks, and the Wissota Hornets. And they had a total of 68 cars in attendance for that race. And very, very solid field of cars. They had a lot of travelers coming from the Wisconsin and Iron Range area and had a couple come from out. Actually, we had one of the Mod 4s come from all the way Rapid City, South Dakota. So kind of a nice little nice to see like one of the drivers that we talked about in the Western Roundup a little bit, Mr. Rob Arlod. So very cool to see who all showed up for that race, and the track was in really good condition, and definitely some intense racing taking place. And so with the Wissota Hornets, personally, that was my favorite race of the night because it was like kind of like a six pack of cars going for the lead. But in the end, it was Jenna Hageman, who is now 2 for 2 on MPH Invitational wins in the Wissota Hornets. She held off the likes of Chase Poirier in the 35 machine and Anthony Jensen in the 23T to claim the feature win there. In your pure stocks, it was Brent Mindock all the way from Prentice, Wisconsin, holding off the likes of Josh Berg and Chasten Finkbone, and they were 3 wide off of multiple restarts. And Brent held off all challengers to claim that win, and another stepping stone because he's in a big, tight points battle for the national championship there. And then in your Wissota Mod 4s, it was Dustin Holquist taking the lead midway through the race from Luke Erlinson, the 18L, to claim his first MPH Invitational win. Erlinson was in second, and then Chad Funt in the X01 was in third. And so that is your kickoff to the Wissota 100 week. Those 3 winners will be leading the Parade of Champions at the Wissota 100 on Saturday. So kind of a nice little treat for them in addition to their feature wins in Bemidji.
So we're talking about the 100 coming up. Let's take a bet. How many wheels will fall off in the Parade of Champions?
This is a good question.
Ooh, this is a really good
The
question.
over-under is let's go over-under at 1.
I'm gonna go under this year.
I'm going to go under this year too. See, at first, the way he was wording it, it's like how many wheels are going to fall off in general? Because we had, I think, at least 2, if not 3 wheels fall off at the MPH Invitational, not during the Parade of Champions, but just during the race. Like they just flew off the car. It's like, oof.
Just the Parade of Champions. Let's keep it simple.
Well, hey, they did a Parade of Champions for the MPH as well, and no tires fell off during that. So if they can do it, everyone else should be able to accomplish that feat as well.
This is true.
True.
And of course, they're doing the Challenge Series Championship on Wednesday for the late models as well. Let's do predictions for one class. Let's see, who is your pick to win the Wissota 100 in the late models?
Tyler Peterson.
Tyler Pearson, okay?
I am going with, let's see here. I'm going to go with Sammy Mars.
That was my pick. I'll go with Cole Searing.
Whoever's willing to feed the right rear to the person leading on the last lap.
Well, lap traffic gets intense during that race too.
It does. It does.
Yep.
All righty. We will display the white flag as we wind out our episode and give a shout out to the B1 IMCA stock car Brody Karlsrud, who I believe had a week off. I think he was just relaxing.
He took a week off.
So he was just relaxing. Good question. For some, it may be illegal, but he's had a fun season. He's still got some racing left on the schedule. So be sure to stay in touch with his Facebook racing page, Brody Karlsrud B1 Racing, as well as the Real Deal with B1 podcast that you can follow and see all his racing adventures and hear about his racing adventures. So thank you so much, Brody, for supporting us on the podcast. Wins of the week, Jessup. You wanted to go first on this.
I'm just going to go a blanket statement for the first one. Everyone. No. I'm just going to say all the drivers who went down to the Super Nationals. I know I said it earlier, but I do think it's cool that we send people down there, or people choose to go down there and represent our state, from the sport compacts all the way up to the mods. You know, that's pretty awesome that you guys go and represent us. And that's all as racing fans, racers, and pit crew, and just people involved with racing can ask for. So, hats off to all of you. It's a long week. It's a lot of driving, and hopefully your levers survived. Second one I'm going to go to is Tyler Hall, and not just because he's our sponsor, but because he put in a lot of effort to get a very good modified field over at the Buffalo River Speedway for the Corn Cob Nationals. I believe they had over 24 each night, and so that takes a lot of work. It seemed like the ball had been dropped prior to that, and he seemed like he got on the horn and got a bunch of people there, and that takes a lot of conviction and effort to do that. So
Mhm.
hats off to you. And the last one, I'm going to stay over at the Buffalo River Speedway. This is going to be one. You know, I'm going to probably ruffle feathers, but yeah, Mason, we always hear that the the Dakota Speedway drivers don't travel. And I just don't understand this. And our last time we talked, I said maybe you guys don't want us to travel because when it comes down to big money season and invitational races, um, more often than not, the money when they do travel comes back with all those drivers. Hmm, interesting. And to continue that trend, Tim Perkins picked up his first ever modified feature win.
The big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's an
Yeah.
invitational race. So, hats off to you, Tim. Tim's a great guy and, you know, always out there supporting when he can. So that's awesome.
Yeah. When I was looking at through results and I was like, Tim Perkins. Well,
Hmm.
first it was a surprise visitor and kind of a surprise winner too. But he's looked really fast this year too, a few times he's been
Yes,
out.
he
Yep.
has.
He's been fast, but, it takes everything to come together at the right time to put it in victory lane. And he got it done. So those are my big three wins of the week.
Excellent. John, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. So I have to give my wins of the week. I'm going to give it out to my first one's going to go to Cole Gresseth in the street stock because Cole, at I believe he's 17 years old now, he looked really good in that Wasota street stock this weekend and was the class of the field for the street stock tour over in Grand Forks. As like Mason mentioned earlier, he swept everything that he was in this weekend. So that was pretty cool to see from a Cole Gresseth perspective. My second win of the week is going to go over to a driver at the World 100 for Bobby Pierce. So Bobby picked up his second one. I also have to give kudos out there to Dale McDowell because Dale almost did maybe a Cinderella story with passing Bobby for the lead. Bobby got back around him on the high side. Dale got held up a little bit by a lap car and then caught Bobby again, but just did not have enough time to get back around him. But congratulations to Bobby Pierce over in Eldora. That was a very neat event this year with over 100 late models down there. I think they had 108 total in attendance, and a great tribute that they gave out to Scott Bloomquist there during that whole entire weekend.
John, speaking of Dale McDowell, do you know
Mhm.
the significance of his car?
So I don't know. Well, I know it's a Scott chassis.
Hmm. That is
So
the
the 17M.
significance. I think it's one of the last remaining ones out there
Hmm.
running still. I
Yep.
probably am
So
wrong. I think there's a couple more still going, but
yeah.
or laying
Yep.
around,
With
but
Scott's Team Zero chassis. Yep.
hmm.
So yeah.
Nice.
So Dale had a very nice run over there in the Eldora area at the World 100. And then my final win of the week, because I'm going to save a couple of these out here for Mason. So is going to go over to Joseph Thomas. I'm going to give him a great win of the week because he actually had problems on Friday night during the Delaney Memorial and actually only made a lap in that race.
Mhm.
Had to basically come out and he tested the car before the program kind of started on before the modified program started on Saturday night and actually tagged one of the back of the B mains for the Midwest mods and made maybe like a half a lap up on full speed and it still didn't sound like it was running correctly so they went back to work and they did more work on that one too But they got the car running correctly for the feature because he was pretty strong in that feature event and picked up a great win over there at River Cities.
Nice. So I'm just going to basically have two wins for mine. The first one I want to give a shout out to is McKenna Romold in the 15 Minnesota Midwest Modified, who is, of course, rookie in the division. She's leading national rookie points, so that's been a big focus over the last few weeks for her. And with over 40 some Midwest Modifieds on the Friday portion, especially, she won her B main to transfer directly into the A main, which is not an easy feat to do. There are several high caliber drivers that aren't able to make that 24 car A main. So just to make the field is an accomplishment, but also to win the B main is a really, really great accomplishment. And she ran all the laps, I believe finished 12th, if I remember correctly.
I think so. I think you're right on that.
And was battling right outside the top 10, trying to get a 10th place spot. But really great weekend for her, and really strong campaign towards the national points battle for rookies. And then my second win of the week goes basically to Derek Turner in the 10 machine, because on Thursday night, Andrew Hansen, the 20 machine, had engine troubles, blew the motor, lap one, turn one of the heat race. And so he was pretty much done after that. And so after the night was done, they were kind of debriefing back in the pit area where all the street stock guys kind of come together. And Derek, being an engine builder, was like, hey, let's take some pieces off of your motor. Let's see if we can get you going so that way you can finish out the weekend. Because Andrew was in the top three of points for the tour. And so they took his car down, got an engine working for him so that he was able to finish out the weekend. And in turn, Andrew had a strong top five run on Saturday to put himself in a tie for second place in the tour points with Justin Vocals. So without the help of Derek Turner trying to get him back going, that probably wouldn't have happened. He might have almost finished outside the top five of points. So hats off to Derek and everyone that kind of got him going. And there was a lot of stuff that kind of happened within the street stocks that people kind of helped each other out to make sure they were able to finish out the weekend and have a good time. And so those are my wins of the week as well. So any closing thoughts as we wrap up episode 25? Jessup, I hope the next time that we see you, we get to have a new track packer join us.
We need a new beanie. Mini beanie.
Yes. A mini one.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, we do. We have eagerly await the arrival of our newest track packer to the world.
We all do. And hopefully it sleeps through the night. Or else I'm going to be Mr. Miserable of our podcast.
Between you and Becca, I don't know who gets the worst sleep lately.
I think it's a
I will say
toss-up.
Becca does,
Just
but
the
it's
corn.
pretty dang close because between Becca rolling over, it was funny. It was last night we were watching the football game and I'm laying at one end of the bed and Becca's just rolling around trying to figure out how to get comfortable, which I don't envy her right now. But out of nowhere, she just boots me in the face. Didn't even realize that she did it. I'm like, ow, and she's like, what happened? And I'm like, you kicked me in the face. Oh, I didn't mean to. I'm just trying to get comfy. And I'm like, and I get it. I really do. And then the next thing I know, I'm not even like 10 seconds later, whap, one more time to the face.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
I think we're all ready for this to come to an end and then have a little one running around or laying around in this case, awkwardly staring at you like, feed me, clean me,
Yeah.
put me back to bed.
Well,
Leave me alone, human.
We wish you all the best in regards to the little one coming soon. With that, that'll do it for episode 25 of season 3 for the Track Packers. Be sure, as always, to like, share, and comment on our videos, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and also the various streaming platforms, Spotify and Apple. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness with Tyler Hall, The Real Deal with the B1, Brody Carlsrud, and Isaac Hot Sauce Sandro. Big races this weekend. John and I will be at the track, and we hope to see you guys all out there packing the track.